Hey everybody, this is the Ads with the Twang podcast. I'm your host Ben Blackman, and on this episode, I'm going to show you how I took one simple idea and turned it into $4,600 of profit in 30 days, all with a simple low-ticket offer. All right, let's get into it. So just real quick, if you're listening to this on audio, you're probably going to want to come to the YouTube channel and watch the video because I'm going to show you behind the scenes on my ads, my results, sales page, all this stuff. So you probably want to check that out. Now I'll do my best to describe it as we're going through, but just in case, you might want to jump in there and take a look. And that's at Marketing with the Twang. So at Marketing with the Twang on YouTube. All right, so why am I sharing this? Well, I want to show you what's possible with low ticket offers because, a lot of people will tell you that low ticket offers don't work. You can't make any money at it, blah, 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 which is just totally untrue. I get why they're saying it. They're saying it because they don't do it, not because they don't work. That's just what happens. And what really doesn't work is jumping around. In other words, if you haven't gotten your high ticket offer dialed in and you're going to add a low ticket offer, that's not going to work, or vice versa. So it's the jumping around that doesn't really work. High ticket, low ticket, using combinations, they absolutely do work. So let me tell you how this kind of got started, and then I'm going to screen share, so we'll get right into it. But what happened was, towards the end of May, I was talking to ChatGPT, and I basically said, hey, what are some underserved markets that I could create a low ticket offer for? And ChatGPT knows me, knows who I am, that kind of thing. And the very first idea it came up with was a guide to help parents of autistic adults plan for after they're gone. Well, once I saw that, I was like, that's it. That right there is a winner. Now, I also thought about, well, let me think about this. How many people are available to actually sell this to? And I didn't have those numbers available right away, but I knew this was a good offer, and I knew I could jump on it pretty quick. So I went ahead and just created this thing called the After Us Guide. And I thought, hey, that's a good thing. And now you can actually see, for those that are watching, I have a t-shirt that says After Us Project. Okay, I had that created too. I was just like, what I want to do is I want to jump right on this. I don't want to make it complicated. I don't want to, go all out creating all this stuff and doing all these things. I want to test it as quickly as possible. How can I do that? So simply what I did was I outlined the guide, and I think I did that on like a Monday. I think I talked to ChatGPT about it Sunday, and then on Monday I did this, something like that. And then on Tuesday, I got somebody from Fiverr to go ahead and design it and everything. On Wednesday, she got it back to me. It was good enough. It wasn't perfect, but it was good enough. Thursday, I created the sales page, which I'll show you here shortly. And then Friday, I started running ads, and that's what happened. That's how it works. So let me just tell you, the first thing is I wasn't going to give this away for free. I wasn't going to do this for free. And I'd happen to know the autism market because I've had several clients that sell to the autism market. And so I've seen a lot of the comments. I've seen a lot of things that people say in various groups and stuff. And a lot of it's, people will say, hey, why aren't you giving this away for free? Why do I have to pay for this? Why do I have, that kind of thing. And I just want to address that real quick. Especially if you're going to be in a similar market that might feel the same way or make those kind of comments. And I even got an email. One of the first things I got was an email from a guy saying, hey, I like this, but why are you charging for this? That kind of thing. And so I simply responded with, for one, I couldn't sit around making these things and doing these things. I don't have time to do it without getting paid to do it. It's just the way that life is. And the second reason, and maybe the most important, is when I give stuff away for free, and when people in general give stuff away for free, less than 5% will even open it or implement it. You'll have a little bit better open rate or a little bit better view rate, but the implementation is just next to zero. When somebody pays for it, your open rates go up to around 60% or better, and the implementation rate's above 50%. So you tell me, am I doing a disservice by giving it away for free? And I would have to argue, yes, that's a disservice. Because the people who If they don't pay for it, they don't hold any value to it, so therefore they don't implement it. It's just that simple. Now, you know, people always say, well, I would implement it. Okay, that's fine. Maybe you're the exception, but remember, you are the exception. So that's how I look at it. All right, so I don't want to go too far into that. I just kind of wanted to mention that. And so I started this at $7, like just a $7 offer, and then I did it to 17, and then 27 is where I am right now. And again, I'm going to show you this real quick. In fact, let me go ahead and just kind of jump right into that so you can see what it looks like. You can actually see my metrics. Might make a little more sense here if I can get my act together. All right. Okay, so there. Ooh, where am I? Okay. Yeah. Let me. Yeah. How about that? Hopefully that works. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make me a little smaller so you can kind of see everything as well as you can. See the whole sheet. Okay. So if you look at the dates, you can see from basically May 24th to May 28th is when I very first started the ad. So I believe May 24th was a Friday. I can't remember, but I think that's when I started. It's Friday or Saturday. Either way. It must have been a Friday because I had this color coded. So there we go. I knew I did that for a reason. So I started basically on a Friday, which ironically it turns out is a decent day in general so far for me, but nevertheless. So I started on that day. I spent $60. I got 73 clicks. My click-through rate was 5.32%, which is great. And I knew it would be. I knew this market, and I knew that it would be really a good click-through rate just because that's how this market is. And so my conversion rate on the sales page was 6.85%, which is fantastic. Okay. I brought in $35 in revenue, but at $7, well, that doesn't work. That's a negative return. Okay. So my return was only 0.58. I lost $25. So that's how that worked out. It's okay. It's a test. That's what a test is for. You got to be willing to do stuff like that, because if you're not going to make money in low ticket offers. I'm just telling you. So the next day, and by the way, I'm not going through all 30 days. I bet you're glad. So the next day, I upped the budget and I spent $130.10. I ended up with 6 sales, so only one more than the previous day, right? So my return on ad spend was 0.32. I lost $88. The following day, which was Saturday, I believe, which should traditionally be the worst day. Okay, so for as I look over the metrics in retrospect, Saturday's hasn't been a good day. Nevertheless, I sold 2, but I only spent, what did I spend? $32.56, so I had a lower ad spend. My return was 0.43. I lost $18.56. Okay, fine. That's what's happened. On Sunday, I went ahead and raised the price. I figured I had 3 days of data. I was good. On the 4th day, I decided to raise the price to $17. So when I did that, I ended up spending $77. I got 5 sales. So, that's along the lines of what I've got before. My conversion rate on the sales page was 3.7%. And I made $7.39, which means that I had a 1.10 return on an ad spend. Hey, I'm in the positive. Love that. Right? Great. Good. That's good. The very next day, I spent $171 with virtually the same offer. I got 13 sales out of that, and I made almost $50. My return was 1.29. So what happened right at that point is I decided to go ahead and stop running those ads so I could create an order bump. Now, you may know, and let me just go ahead and show you the sales page real quick. This probably make more sense if I do that. So this is the sales page. So initially, just so you know, the sales page, I didn't have a video on it. I'm sorry, I did have a video on it, and it did not convert very well. Now the video is still on it, it's just further down the page. So, but this is the sales page that I had, or still have, and this is what I'm using today. But the video didn't convert mainly because in the beginning of the video, I made it about me and my son. And at that point, nobody really cares about that. And so I changed the video to make it about them and the result that they would get. And once I did that, that's when I started getting some sales. So as you kind of look at this page, you can see it's an overly simplistic page, and it's that way for a reason. I tell them what it is, and then I tell them exactly what they're going to get. I'm not, it's not this elongated thing about who this is for and all this extra stuff about me and blah, blah, blah. Usually when you're selling low ticket, just get to the point. That's what you have to do with low ticket, is get to the point, because if you don't, you're going to lose them. It's just that simple. All right, so when you scroll down the page, you can see there's that video still about. I probably need to redo that, frankly. But nevertheless, and then I go over what this will help them accomplish, and that was it. That was it in the beginning. But now I decided to create an order bump, and as you can see on this page, there's the order bump. It's called the Crisis Ready Care Kit, and it's $17 add-on. Okay, so that would increase my average order value to about $44 if when they purchase that. And so that's what I was trying to do. You need to have about 30 to 50% people go ahead and get the order bump. That's really kind of your goal there. So that's what I was working on. And I decided, okay, I'm turning the ads off until I have this ready. Okay. And now, just as a side note, I actually have a second order bump that I'm working on. It's called the Sibling Companion Guide. I can't remember what it's called actually, but it's for siblings, how to talk to siblings about this, because it's a tough topic. I mean, hits you right in the gut. If you're a parent of an autistic adult like I am, I mean, it hurts. It hurts to think about. So, and people want to get out of that pain, and this is one way to kind of help. I'm coming at it from the angle of, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a therapist, blah, blah, blah. We all know that. This is just what I did. I'm just a dad, and this is what a dad does. Okay. And I think that's what really made it work, because just so that you know, when I first started doing this, let me just kind of tell you this real quick. When I first started doing this, I posted in a Facebook group about my idea, and the people in the Facebook group, they're great, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you get a lot of just not good feedback. It's stuff that seems like it's good feedback, but it's really not. So some of the feedback I got had to do with things like, oh great, why don't you interview blah 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 blah, which like these therapists and stuff, and get ideas and all that. And I'm thinking, why would I want to interview them? I have 19 years experience. Okay, now maybe down the road I might, but to get an offer out, no. You don't do all that. You just get the basics out. You just have to know more than the person that you're selling it to. So it's good if you know substantially more, but that's all you have to do. Another person said, well, I would never buy anything from somebody who wasn't an expert in, was a financial advisor or attorney or something. That's basically what she was saying. And I'm like, that's not true. We all do. We just want somebody to solve the problem. If we believe they can solve the problem, the credentials do not matter. They just don't. Okay, and I knew that up front. So somebody else said, well, maybe you want to call it, I forgot how she phrased it, and she's super nice, but maybe it was something about phrasing it like, we refer to our kids as neurodivergent or something like that, and she basically was saying you may lose some people with, if you don't, say that versus saying autism, okay, or saying on the spectrum or something along those lines. And I thought about that, and I was like, the problem is you're not going to please everybody no matter what you do. But when you say the word, and a single word to describe it is going to be much better than a group of words to describe it. Okay, if you can describe it in a single word and people know exactly what you're talking about, do that. So I stuck with autism because people know what that is, and that's what I use. Okay, if some people don't like it, I'm sorry, that's just what we're going to use. Somebody else was telling me that, what about, kids, not adults, parents of adults, what about kids? And then what about, does this work for Down syndrome? You're going to be missing out on more special needs and blah, blah, blah. And all that's true. But I did this for a reason. I wanted to focus on my audience and build the message. I know there's people buying who don't have autistic adults. Okay. I know there's grandparents buying, even though I'm talking to parents. I know all that's going to happen anyway, but my messaging is singleness of purpose to parents of autistic adults. Now, will I expand that later? Probably. But for the moment, this is where we are. and this works. Okay, so I'm telling that to you so that you know what I did and what you can do if you're deciding to do a low ticket offer. All right, next. One of the things that I wanted to mention are the tools that I used and use to this day, because tracking's important, and this might be a little too deep in the woods for a lot of people, and I'm sorry if it is. But tracking is a huge thing. And there's advanced tracking tools out there like Hyros, and I use Hyros, and Wicked Reports, and I use Wicked Reports. I mean, there's a lot of them out there, and I've probably used them all at one time or another. But I wanted to be able to track this and be simplistic about it, not have to buy extra software and buy all these things. I just wanted to use the tools that I had available, already. So I use Samcart. So that sales page I just showed you, that's a Samcart checkout page, but it's just, I made it into a long form sales page. It's not super long. And I love Samcart, just so you know. I am an affiliate, but I use it for a couple of reasons. And one of them is you have unlimited courses on there, so you can host all your courses there if you want to keep it super simple. You do use Kajabi, but for other things. But Samcart can do all that. The testing, what you can test, is amazing. That you can't do. There's testing stuff that you can do with Samcart you can't do with like ThriveCart. Now ThriveCart's great, and I like ThriveCart too, but Samcart has just way more features. It's just the way it is, and supports much better. Anyway, so I'm using Samcart. Part of the reason is because you can use the conversion API, which if you're not familiar with that, it's kind of like an advanced pixel. Okay, if you know the Facebook pixel, right? So it's kind of like an advanced pixel where Samcart sends the data to Facebook. So normally a pixel grabs the data from Samcart and pulls it into Facebook, but Samcart sends it to Facebook. So it has a conversion API. And when I use the Samcart sales page and the Samcart order confirmation page, like I don't send them to a custom thank you page, then I get pretty close to 95% attribution. So I know exactly which ad set, all of the targeting. And I'm going to show you this in the ads manager in just a minute, but I know where all this goes, and I can see it, 95% of it. So that's one thing. I use UTM parameters. I had to kind of customize that. I'll have to do another video about that. But so I can see every sale that came in. I can see them on a spreadsheet. I just have it zapped into the spreadsheet, and I know I can look at the individual person to see exactly where they came from if I want to. And that's good for helping me sort and see trends and stuff like that. And so I just want you to know, I do not like Google Analytics. I never have. I'm just telling you, it is not a great tool. It never has been. It's just not. If you're doing e-com and you're doing a huge budget, fine. But if you're not, it's probably not going to be a good fit. So let's kind of jump in and let me just show you my ad performance overview. Or actually, let me show you what happened when I did change it to $27 so you can kind of see that, and then we'll jump into the ads real quick. Okay. So on 6/11, you can see right there, that's when I started the ads with the order bump, and I changed the price to $27 on the front end of the offer, the After Us guide. And by the way, what I'm selling them is not a guide. I mean, that's part of it, but it's videos, it's instructions, it's all kinds of stuff that goes into that. So anyway, here we have, and you can see my click-through rate's really good. I started this, that must have been a Thursday, because that would have been a Friday. So see, that's why I color-coded these. So on this day, so it was a really good day, right? I got a 2.28 return on ad spend. I made $94.77. Out of the 5 sales that I got, I had 2 order bumps. That works. That's the numbers that I want. So if you just kind of follow those days, if you just look at return on ad spend, you can see I had several good days. Okay, until let's see, what was it on 6/23, which was a Monday. That wasn't a great day. And then you can see on 628. That's the only day. That's the day I lost money. And when I say lost money, I'm talking about in June. Okay. And then yesterday, which was the 30th, it was just barely over break even. I did make money, but it was just barely. And you can see, the order bumps, you can see the number of purchases I have and the conversion rates on the sales page and all that stuff. So what numbers was I looking for? Am I looking for? It's a better question. So my click-through rate, I really didn't know. I knew it would be high. I just didn't think it'd be this high. So my thought is, with the numbers I have now, is that if my click-through rate's going to be somewhere around 4%, maybe 4.5%, then I'm probably good. I need my conversion rate on my sales page. I really need to be at 2.5 or better on average. Okay. If I look at my return on ad spend, that needs to be at 1.5 or better. If you're at 1.25 to 1 point or 1.5, that's okay, and you can do that. But if you're below 1.25, man, you really have to watch it and make sure that things are going smoothly. You can't just kind of sit back on those. So the short of that is I spent, if you look, I spent $10,213.40 on ads, and I made $14,881 for a net profit of $4,667.60. I say net profit. Technically, that's not net profit because I'm not factoring in Samcart and these other things, but that's my profit after ad spend. All right, so hopefully all that made sense. Now, I'm going to show you a couple different things I did and I'm doing right now. Let me just this is just for the last 30 days, okay? So you can see I have set these columns up to sort of coincide with that spreadsheet you were looking at. But these columns are customized so I can see what's relevant to me. The first thing's how many sales did I get? How much money did I make on those sales? What did it cost me to get those sales? How much did I spend? My return on ad spend, my sales page conversion rate. This is my average order value. And then the other stuff like link clicks, click-through rate, cost per click, all those other stuffs are important. They're just not the main things that I look at if the other stuff is going well. The other stuff's what I base most of my decisions on. What's my return on ad spend is really the biggest number. But you can see, like for this one right here, if we just look at strict return on ad spend, you can see this ad right here, which is they're called single ads because there's only one ad set with one ad. There's not multiple ads in an ad set. That's why I labeled it that way. But my return, is 2.08. So that's running, the one that's running in there is at $25 a day. So the problem is if I raise it up past $25 a day, my return on ad spend goes down. So I'm just leaving it and just testing other things against it. And at some point I'll create more videos on what I did there and how that works and, and everything. So as you can see, let me do this right here. I can make it a little easier for me. So if I wanted to sort this by, conversion value, okay, I could do that. So this one made $2,600. And I spent $1,300, so it was about a 1.9. So you might look at that and say, hey, that was really good, but the trend of it over the last 7 days or something like that was down. It just wasn't converting as well. That's why that's off. Okay, and so that's what happens with these. You have to pay attention to your ads. I think we all know that, but sometimes we kind of just let them go when things are going okay. And so let me just kind of show you this. So right here is you see where it says VSL. The reason I'm bringing that up is because I thought, okay, I want to try something different. So instead of sending them directly to the sales page, sales/checkout page, let's send them to a VSL first. And so I want to show you exactly what that looks like. That's not it. That's it. Okay, so this is what happens. People come to this page, and there's a video already there, video sales letter, and it's like 7 minutes, 9 minutes, I don't know, something like that. And I have other clients that do this, but it's mostly high ticket. So if you're doing high ticket, this is a good thing to do to help you offset some ad spend. So anyway, I go through the video sales letter, and it looks like this. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just going to play the first little few seconds.
Have you ever thought, what's going to happen to my autistic adult?
Okay. See, that's it. Okay. It's just white background with, you know, caption text. I mean, that's basically all it is. Just going through that. And then, you know, they watch that. This button stays here where they can see it. They can do it immediately. They click get instant access. I capture their name and email right here. And once they get that, then they go over to the sales page. Okay. And then on the sales page, they buy. So what does that look like? Well, about 30% of the people who get to the sales page buy. Well, that's a lot better than what you were looking at before, right? 2%, 2.5% conversion rate on the sales page. 30%, that's amazing. Okay, here's the issue, though, why it's not as amazing as you might think, or as it may sound, is that doesn't take into account the number of people who went to visit to the VSL but didn't go to the sales page. So once you factor that in, the conversion rate is about the same. It's like, it's like 1.25. Some of the ads I think we're doing a little bit better. Like I've got one at 1.71. So there you go. So that is good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as good as you. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the return. I mean, the conversion rate on the sales page is 2.31, which is obviously good, better than average, but it's not 30%. So what am I going to do there? Well, I'm going to tweak some stuff and I'm going to test it and see if I can't make that work better. As long as this is continuing to get a positive ROI, I'll continue to run it because those are sales I wouldn't have otherwise had. So I'm going to continue to run it and just test other things to see if I can make it work. Okay. So that's where I am with that. Now, if you are doing high ticket, you can. What's really great with this is you can send them to this sales page. The VSL. Then when they go to the sales page to check out, and they actually check out, the next page you have your calendar, and you go ahead and book their call right there. Okay. So as soon as they check out, so now they've bought the initial thing. And now they're booking a call. You will get 70% show up rates, 80% show up rates, because people who just paid for something will show up for the call. It's just how it works. Just like what I was talking about earlier, people, will actually do the work if they have some money invested in it. So it's a very good thing to try, and is very effective. Okay, so let's see here. So let me just kind of show you some, just kind of, effects that happen as a result of doing this. So my Instagram, which I started a new Instagram account for this, and actually I was told not to, but I did it anyway because that's what I do. I've put 14 posts. They're all reels, and I've gotten 1,050 followers. Now, are those organic? I don't really know. I haven't looked into it closely enough. My guess is most are probably not, but I did not gain people from follower ads. I gained people from normal ads, and people just ended up following me because of it. So those are two completely different things. Follower ads are almost, sometimes they're okay, but usually they're not a great thing. It depends on if they're highly targeted. If they're not highly targeted, it's crap. The people following are crap. But, not a good fit is what I'm saying. But if they're, if it's highly targeted, then it can be very good. So anyway, I got 1,050. So I'm like, okay, I wasn't really thinking about that, but now I get it. This is going to be a good thing. Okay. Because now I can really lean into some organic, but more than that, I really wanted to lean into, YouTube, because I think that's a better fit, frankly. Instagram's just too hit it, quit it kind of thing, and YouTube people stay and they come back. So anyway, so I put out like 10, just a few videos and maybe some shorts. I think it's 21 videos is what it says, but that's including the shorts. And I've gotten 17 subscribers in the month I've been doing it. And I have not been doing this consistently at all. Like I just put one out here and there when I can. I'm going to record another one here in just a minute. So I've gotten 17 subscribers. So I can see that actually expanding into something that's more worthwhile, and to put more time in it so I can get that organic growth. Okay, so that's all I'm going to share with that. And I just have a few thoughts ending this. All right. Do you have to have $10,000 to spend? No. Okay. It's best if you have $100 a day, because if you don't, then it takes a long time to get the metrics figured out. Do you want to spend $100 a day on one ad? No. You probably want to spread them out between, like, you either want to do 2 ad sets of $50 each, or 4 with $25 each. That's how you would expand that. And then you would have like 2 ads in each of those ad sets. Hopefully that makes sense. Actually, I didn't show you the ads, did I? Let me show them to you real quick so you can kind of get an idea of what I did there. So let me see. There may just be, okay, this is good. So here's the main 3 ads. So this one right here, let's see if we can, there we go. So that one, excuse me, that one, I'm not going to play the whole thing for you, but it's just, I know I'm talking, but I'm actually not talking. You can't hear me talking. It's just a B-roll video, and Evan and I are at the lake. That one's converted the best, but it's not the one that's converted the best for every audience. Some audiences, that one converts best, and some, each of the other 2 convert best. That's why you test them. Now, you only need to test 2. I was just doing 3 because, well, that's how I roll. So this one right here is me just sitting in the car, just looking around, B-roll. And then, I mean, look, I just want to make this as simple for you as I can. All I did was I'm just holding my phone out like this, and I'm just kind of looking around like this, just not looking at the phone. That's it. That's what I did. And then I just put the text overlays. And then this is me, just yammering on about something, right? So I go through that. And so, like I said, this one, the top one at the lake, tends to convert the best. But the other 2 do convert depending on the audience. And you can see, like, my click-through rate here for the month is 5.59% for that one. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. That's fantastic. Okay, now let's just kind of recap and let me just talk about a couple of takeaways and stuff. So the first thing is remember, consistency is greater than having perfect days. So even I've been doing ads for forever, ever since Facebook ads came out, and even before that with Google. And it even happens to me where, I'm too attached to the ad, right? And if it's not doing, like, even this morning, right, I only had 2 sales, and there may be more now, but I don't know, but I only had like 2 sales. Like, I was used to getting sales overnight. I would get a lot of sales between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m., and now I'm only getting like 1, if any, or 2, if any. It's all working out through the rest of the day, but still, and so, when you get attached and you're kind of focused on that, you're missing the big picture, because you probably can't tweak that out. And what I mean is I probably couldn't set the ads to only show at certain times of day and actually make that work. There's just not, most likely there's not gonna be enough ad spend, that you're putting, I mean, you have to spend thousands and thousands a day to make that kind of stuff work. And so it's probably not going to work. So focus on being consistent, getting consistent sales, and look at your averages. The most important metric is return on ad spend, at least as far as I'm concerned. Revenue obviously is, profit is obviously huge. I get that, but your return on ad spend tells you whether or not your campaign, your ad set, your ad is working or not. So let me just kind of go over this real quick. I just kind of made some notes here. First, do it messy. Be messy and prove it as you go. Okay. If you have a good offer, and I knew that I did, and you'll know if you do, if you have a good offer, get it out there. Get some eyeballs on it, because until you get traffic, nothing happens. Test pricing and test offers as early as you can. So I could have launched all 3 prices, 7, 17, and 27, all at the same time. What would happen if somebody that bought it for 7, or somebody bought it for 27, then saw it was at 7 or whatever? I would just deal with that. Okay. But it's not uncommon for businesses, any business, to have multiple pricing options in different areas and all kinds of stuff. And that's how virtually every business does it. So that it's not uncommon. Next thing is track what matters, not the vanity metrics. So technically, like the click-through rate that I just showed you, that's a vanity metric. Now, is it important? Yes, but if everything else is going well, all things being equal, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the click-through rate is. It could be 0 or whatever, So just track what matters. The next thing is your offer must connect emotionally. I guess we all know that, but when it doesn't, it's going to make it harder to sell. Okay. And the reason that mine works, even though it's a preventative kind of thing, is because it hits them very hard. And I know that it does. If it was a preventative thing and it didn't hit them emotionally, it'd be tough to sell. The other thing is you don't need a bunch of fancy tech to make this work. You just need some clarity and some action. Look, I did this in a week. Now, I realize not everybody can do that. I mean, I have some advantages because I've done stuff like this before, but I literally did it from scratch. Talked to ChatGPT, outlined it, sent it to the designer, did the sales page. I didn't even connect it to my email system, just so you know. I just had it. I said, I'm not doing all that. Like, I'm not doing all the extra stuff. I just want to get it out there, and then ran some ads to it. That's it. I mean, it's connected now, but it wasn't then. Okay. So I know that was a lot, and I hope this was a little bit helpful. I did cover this at another time, but I just wanted to really kind of go over it in a little more detail after I had a whole month's worth of data. And I'll keep you updated. Okay, we'll see how it goes. I have, like I said, I have the second order bumps coming out. It's the sibling, I can't remember what, again, I just can't remember what I'm calling it, but the sibling guide. So that should add another, I'll probably charge $11 for it or some kind of strange number like that. And we'll see how it goes. But if you like stuff like this, okay, first of all, there's two things. One, if you like it like this, subscribe, please. Thank you. Great. Second thing is I've been, and I just haven't really promoted it here, but I'm going to. Sorry, I'm going to. It's called my Brutal Truth Marketing Digest, and so it's a once a week newsletter. And the way I describe it is it's unconventional marketing for sophisticated coaches. And what I mean is that it's not your run of the mill marketing tactics and so forth that just kind of all blend together. What I tell people to do is I'm like, look. Stop. The first thing you need to do is stop subscribing to 30 different marketing emails. Okay. Get out of those and cut them down to 2. Right. Mine being one of them, of course, but cut them down to 2 because you can't consume all that information. And even if you could, you can't implement it. And all it's doing is distracting you from making money. That's it. So the Brutal Truth Marketing Digest simply is just once a week. I just go through a tactic or strategy or something that you can focus on to help you get another client. That's it, right? And I'm not holding back here. I'm telling you just the way that it is. It's if you. I think it was Tony Robbins. He's like, you can't just ignore the weeds in your garden. I mean, you can't just sit there and say no weeds, no weeds, no weeds. You got to see the weeds and pull them out. I mean, that's the way it works. So. If you know that you can build it into a really good business, this is a great thing, and it's a free resource. So you can check the link below and in the description and grab it. Okay, that's it. Listen, I really appreciate y'all sticking with me. I know that was a lot that I went over. Feel free to send me questions, comments, whatever. But I'm just telling you, if I can do this, you can do this. All right, I'll catch y'all on episode 127. See you then.